Let's see if I can do that. Okay. So it's another week has gone by. Hard to believe.
And tonight's open forum. And then just for those that maybe missed last week, because we played, if you were here, I don't know if you were here last week, but because we played that little excerpt from Bill Maher from on HBO, it's copyrighted, so we couldn't post it. So last week I had to post last year's pandemic food and pandemic lecture from last year is what I had to post on the website, because when I tried to put that one from last week up, it said it was copyrighted and we couldn't post it because it has rights to HBO. Even though it was only like that little 3 or 4 minute segment, we couldn't splice it out.
Oh.
So lesson learned, I guess.
Yeah.
Because it's, it goes up on a YouTube channel. So we have, it's a private YouTube, well, a public YouTube channel specific to the classes. So because of that, can't put copyrighted material up there.
Yeah, I missed not being here last week.
Yeah, so if you want to watch, it's pretty much most of the same videos and stuff we showed this year as compared to last year. So do we have any new people? Anyone here for the first time? I think I recognize everyone's name so far, I believe. If there's anybody that's new, feel free to speak up and let us know how you heard about the classes. Hopefully you guys are going to come to the potluck, movie social potluck, coming up on Saturday, December 9th. So that's only just a week from this coming Saturday. So I have on the class newsletter, as well as on the Eugene Plant-Based Provider website under upcoming events, there's a RSVP there. So if you're planning to come, please RSVP so we know how many people are coming. And you don't have to bring anything if you aren't comfortable. There's usually plenty of food for everybody. And so we'll eat first and then we'll show a movie after that. So hopefully you guys can come.
So, Janet, go ahead, unmute yourself and there's a little microphone at the bottom of your screen, the bottom by your left hand.
You can tell.
There you go.
I've never been in the discussion before. So,
okay.
When we had that last meet for a walk thing, I went to it, but I got there and I'm like, I don't know who I'm meeting. There's no way for me to recognize who any of these people are. And I looked and there's people all over the place and I'm like, I have no clue who I'm, okay, well, I'll find out what I should do next time. So next time, if there could be some way to recognize people that you've never seen or met with before when there's a lot of other people around. So
we usually meet in the parking lot before, and I usually have the tail of my car up, the back, and then we're all standing there and we're usually putting on name tags. We didn't put on name tags for the very last walk because it was so cold. We were all wearing jackets. Name tags wouldn't stick, but usually we all have name tags, and then we all stick together, and then we all walk out onto the track together at the same time. And so hopefully we'll start them back up in May. So hopefully you can join us then again.
Yeah, I was willing. I just I don't know who I'm meeting here, and there were quite a few people there, which was really nice. It was a cold morning, and there were a lot of people out. That was great. But anyway, so maybe next time we could figure a way for a person like me to know who I'm meeting up with. I didn't see you, so.
Okay. Yeah, there's usually a bunch of us there in the parking lot. We all chat, and people just kind of walk up and, oh, you guys here with Eugene Plant-Based Providers? Yeah. And then we do like I said, the name tag stuff. And then if we're already on the track, if you come a little late, then you can see groups of people just walking around the track there, and you can just jump. Just don't be shy. Just jump on in.
I actually got there about 10 minutes early and sat there for a while, and I don't know anybody here. And I just about time for it to start, I left.
Okay, too bad you didn't come over and start talking to us. We would have welcomed you with open arms there.
There's a lot of people out there talking in the parking lot, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was just us. I mean, there was no other groups of anybody there. I mean, there was a few.
Oh.
There's a few random people there that play tennis or jog on the track or whatever. But we were the only group that was like 10 or 12 people that were all kind of together there. That was us.
I didn't see you.
And I'm always parked right up front by the trash can, the big trash can that's right there by the track and the tennis court. That's usually where I park.
Okay. All right.
Dave has
Just
a
saying.
good suggestion to hold a balloon that's like in the shape of broccoli
Oh yeah, there we go.
in the future. If you find one, we'll be happy to spring for it. Or maybe even more than one if anyone finds something like that.
Well, if you can come to
Sorry
the
that you,
potluck.
Janet, we're sorry that you missed out on that. And, we'll give it some thought and figure out a way for the future. Hopefully it'll go easier.
And then try to come to the potluck a week from Saturday if you can. And information on that's on the Eugene Plant-Based Provider website under upcoming events. And so we got that coming up, and then the in-person classes at the YMCA starting in February also. We also have the book club this coming Thursday. I don't see Lisa here yet. She would want me to plug that. So that's this coming Thursday at 7 o'clock is the book club. Hopefully the information on that's on the weekly class newsletter as well as on the homepage of the class website.
Yeah, in the book club, you don't actually have to have read the book. You
Right.
can listen in and chime in on the discussion. And it's both with medical students and with members of the community. And it's a worthwhile adventure to attend if you get a chance. Okay, so we'll say one more time, anybody who's new to the class who we're just kind of curious how you found out about the classes, just unmute yourself or raise your hand, and we're looking to see how you found out about the classes, and we want to welcome you. I don't see any hands. So, Scott, you said tonight is open forum.
Right. And the next week I'm going to do Lifestyle Medicine Pioneers. It'll be next week.
Great.
Tonight's for you guys. Whatever questions you have, discussion, successes, challenges, anything goes. Someone's asking about the grand opening for the YMCA is coming up on Saturday, December 16th. Do we know what time that's going to be at yet, Charlie? I haven't heard anything yet.
I don't know yet.
So the grand opening of the brand new YMCA there at 24th and Patterson, and Charlie and I are going to be there, and we'll pass out some of the class flyers, some of the cards with Eugene Plant-Based Providers on it, and these classes on there, and Peace Health and the YMCA will start promoting the in-person classes we're going to start doing in February.
So we have three hands. We're going to start with MEE, then go to Joan, then go to Ken, and then we'll carry on. So MEE, fire away.
Hey, good to see you guys. I really have two questions. One, while we're talking about the YMCA, when we start meeting in person in February, does that mean that the Zoom meetings will go away, or will it be a hybrid?
We'll still have the Zoom. We're still going to have the Tuesday night Zoom meetings. That's not going to change.
Oh, so.
This is an addition. That'll be in addition to. So we have
Good.
some.
It's an extra Sunday.
Great.
That gives people 2 opportunities plus a third on a Tuesday afternoon, potentially, 3 opportunities to attend meetings be supported by people who are are on the same journey.
Great, that's good. My second question is, where does cornstarch fall in the world of whole plant-based foods?
I guess I would say if it's just in used in a recipe, it's fine. It's just minimally processed, kind of like I would put it in the same category as whole wheat flour, kind of like that. So it's probably even a little bit better than whole wheat flour, because if it's just ground up corn, are you saying like when people make the same stuff when people make like corn tortillas, or are you talking about just
No, what I've
Corn-
discovered is
cornstarch?
that, it's winter, it's cold. I really like vegetable soup. And Thanksgiving, cornstarch is about gravy. But instead of making gravy, I put cornstarch in my soup and made it stew. And I really liked it. It was very comforting.
Yes, just like a thickener then. Yeah,
Yeah,
I would say that's totally fine. Yeah.
cool.
I think it's fine.
That's the end of my questions for the night.
All right. Well, at least for the moment, huh?
For the moment, yeah.
Joan,
I had the same question about the Zoom, because I really like the Zoom meetings, because I can Zoom from wherever I am. If I'm here or I'm at the coast or wherever, I like the Zooms. So thank you for the Zoom classes.
you're welcome, and we like them also. But we also realize that there are some people who just want to interface personally and don't like to use technology. Okay, Ken.
Well, I watched the weekly, I don't know what you call it, that weekly video from Dr. Greger. And I watched one on, it's pretty recent, might have been last week. It was bananas, should you really put them in your smoothie? And that was a really confusing, he's kind of over most people's heads, a lot of it, but the bottom line is no. And because fruits that turn brown have an enzyme that reverses some of the like cancer fighting cancer fighting things in fruits. So it was pretty confusing, and he didn't say we shouldn't eat bananas. He just shouldn't. He said you shouldn't put them in your smoothies. And I'm really confused. Help me out.
Go ahead, Charlie.
So the bananas, they have an enzyme which kind of interferes with the antioxidants. So if you mix bananas, any fruit that turns brown has this enzyme that is sort of a defense mechanism that as it works, it can reduce the effectiveness of the
flavonoids. The flavonoids.
Flavonoids or the antioxidants. And so the thing is if you add bananas to blueberries, you effectively knock out the blueberry antioxidant effect. You don't want to do that. You want the antioxidant effect. So what you have to do is either heat the banana up so that it destroys the enzyme, or you have to eat them at separate times if you want the best bang for your buck or the most antioxidant effect. Is that a simple way of explaining it? Is that clear, or do I need to go a little further?
Well, it's what I think I heard or thought I heard.
Yeah,
But a lot of us make smoothies with ice and frozen bananas and cacao. So that's unsweetened chocolate.
right.
does it affect the chocolate?
Yes, it affects the chocolate. It affects blueberries. It doesn't affect mango, I don't think, because
You know, I heard him say that.
It's only fruit that turns brown. So like bananas, avocados would count,
Well, they're the ones,
apples. So those fruits that turn brown when you leave them out, those are the ones you want to keep separate and not eat at the same time as blueberries and other fruit that has a lot of antioxidants. And so that goes for smoothies. That would also go for my oatmeal in the morning. I used to always do blueberries on my oat groats with banana. Now I don't do the banana anymore. I eat it banana at another time, and you want to make sure it's at least an hour or so apart, because if I ate my groats with my blueberries and then inside of an hour I ate a banana, then it would interfere with that. So I have to have more than an hour later. So it doesn't mean you can't eat bananas or avocados or apples. You just make sure it's a good hour or two after you ate the high antioxidant foods like the blueberries and other berries. And
now, I think he said that if you put lemon on your brown apple, you get rid of the enzyme and you can eat it with the antioxidant foods. What do you know about that?
I don't remember that.
You what?
I don't know if that would deactivate the enzyme or not.
I don't
Call that.
remember that as part of the, we could listen to the video again, I guess. Emmy, you have your hand up.
Well, I do know that lemon on apples stops it from browning. Because
So
I chop up apples to take with me on the road, and I always squeeze lemon on them so they don't turn brown.
so maybe it does somehow denature the enzyme that causes the browning, and so maybe that does work. So the other thing to think about, Ken, is this. If you're eating mainly whole food plant-based, you're probably getting enough antioxidants in your world. Assuming you've looked at our antioxidants and the ones that have the biggest impact, because some our fruits and vegetables don't have much antioxidant effect. But if you're eating a pretty good variety, colors of the rainbow, you probably don't have to worry about it. It's probably one of those technical issues that is more fun to talk about than it is worth worrying about. If you put a banana in your oatmeal with some blueberries, you probably are still going to get some antioxidant effect, but it was pretty interesting, the video. I agree. Any other thoughts on bananas and what have you? Tona had a question, I believe.
I did. It was along the veins of the bananas, and just wondering if you had recommendations of replacements of what ways to sweeten it up instead of.
Okay, so mango is one. That's a fruit that doesn't brown up, so you can use mango instead of banana. You could use I don't know, I guess some prunes, but dates really sweeten things up. So if you use, I started out, someone told me to make smoothies with using 5 or 6 dates. And boy, that has become so sweet now. So 1, 2, or 3 is usually enough for whatever I might choose to make. But if you're just starting out, 4 or 5 dates really adds a sweetness to it that bananas, it would even be sweeter than a banana.
Okay. Okay, that's helpful. Thank you.
And they're healthy.
I've been
Any
enjoying
other
them.
thoughts? What's that?
I said I've been enjoying them when I use them, so it's nice to know that's a good alternative.
Great. What else?
Anybody have any challenges with family members at Thanksgiving time? I'm sure a lot of you did. Does anyone want to share how they dealt with it? If they, brought their own dish to share, or what they did?
Emmy.
Well, I cooked a huge traditional Thanksgiving dinner for my family. for my daughter and her in-laws because her father-in-law was just diagnosed with his cancer has returned, and everybody was super bummed out and super stressed. And so I volunteered, and they wouldn't eat anything but a traditional turkey dinner. So I made a turkey dinner that I haven't made in about a decade. My stuffing had bacon and sausage, and it smelled all super good. Everybody loved it, but I had vegetable stew. I felt really good about doing that for them because they would not have, they're not the kind of people, her in-laws aren't the kind of people who would have enjoyed something alternative or different than their typical Thanksgiving dinner. But I felt good doing it for them and making them happy on that day. And it was a no-brainer for me to eat vegetable stew all day long. I just grazed on it all day long.
We had pretty traditional. We had a new recipe for it. Was kind of was considered a tort, but it was made with sweet potato and brown rice and lentils and some other things. And then we had our usual mashed potatoes, and we had Brussels sprouts with roasted Brussels sprouts with pecans and tons of herbs and spices, really good. Had some cranberry sauce. Let's see, what else do we have? You have the gravy that's in one of the plant-based cookbooks over top of that. We even made a stuffing that was my daughter-in-law's got celiac, so she has to be gluten-free. So we used gluten-free bread and turned out pretty well, the stuffing. And then we had some, for our splurge, we did have some plant-based cookies. We made some peanut butter cookies and some ones that have ground up hazelnuts and a little bit of coffee and cocoa powder. They were really good. Yeah. So I always eat too much, and so it's even rich for me. So it's kind of like I feel like a glutton when I eat that, even though it was all completely plant-based. So I'm used to just fruit for dessert for the most part. So eating those cookies is kind of pretty sweet.
That sounds great, Scott.
Yeah, it was good.
Tona
Something I
or
made
Eric,
was,
either
Oh.
one. Now, let's see, Eric,
no,
Tona
that's
has her
fine.
hand up and you'll go second.
Okay,
I was just gonna say, I was expecting Thanksgiving was going to be a lot harder because this is the first year that I have truly been on my plant-based diet. And my family actually was really, really sweet and were very, very supportive. And many of them were like, we want to make recipes that that you can eat and make sure that it's food that you can eat. And so out of all of the dishes that we had, there was only two of the main meal that had animal product in it. And that was like chicken enchiladas and some mashed potatoes. And then everything else was all whole foods, plant-based. And then I think we had one pie that had some sugar in it. But I felt super supported, and that was exciting. But I did notice, which was kind of a nice thing, I had a small slice of the pie with sugar in it because I was like, it's Thanksgiving, I want to splurge. And noticed for the next couple of days that I was really craving, like, where's something sweet? I want something sweet with just a little bit of that. So that was a nice, it was a good reminder of why I'm doing what I'm doing, because I don't crave it at all when I'm eating usual, the way I'm supposed to.
Thanks for sharing.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Eric.
yeah. I was around my family who loves the traditional stuff. So we had lots of traditional stuff. I ate a little bit of this and that, but I just made some roasted beets with some red wine vinegar and balsamic and some feta, but it was plant-based feta, and it was really good. That the roasted beets, I ate a lot of those, so enough to make my pee red.
Interesting. So Janet. And then Marcia.
I just returned from a road trip, My husband and I are avid photographers, and we travel down to New Mexico to do bird photography at Bosque del Apache. So we spent a lot of time on the road, a little over 2 weeks. And when you go on the road and in weird, out of the way places, then eating our typical ways, it's kind of tough. But you know, you can plan in food that is like basically sort of meets the most basic criteria of being plant-based. Is not always as good. Like there's not as much produce and stuff, obviously. But I would say every time we go to a restaurant, I've always been able to say, don't worry, I'll always find something to eat. Because generally, if they have vegetables, they'll bring you some steamed vegetables or a baked potato, or, you know, they'll have something. And I finally went to a restaurant and I told them I'm plant-based and can I have something? And it was a restaurant that specialized in Navajo, the Native American food. And they just said, no, we don't do that. It was the first time I'd ever been anywhere. And their basic meals had like corn and beans and, you know, healthy, wholesome, like satisfying, starchy food. But they weren't willing to offer me any that hadn't had any, you know, meaty stuff cooked into it. So I don't know, maybe they always just do cook everything into it. I was just really surprised. So, but after being on the road for a couple of weeks, it's really nice to be home and being able to eat better. We got home late Thanksgiving Day, so.
Wow, that's you know, pretty unbelievable. But some people, I guess, apparently just don't get it yet. May take a little time for that restaurant to change. Marcia.
Yeah, I'm gonna be telling on myself. I fixed my food, special foods for Thanksgiving, but then as I was cleaning up the food, the table and stuff, found myself snacking on what my son had made. Just bits and pieces here and there, and just see if I miss it. And no, not really. But mine was good.
Good.
I had to tell on myself.
Okay. So, Lisa, I'm sure you have something to say. You've kind of sent your announcement out about the book club, but you know, we have time now tonight. Maybe you could kind of share what your plans are for this coming Thursday and invite those who haven't given it much thought to come. Just a thought. It's up to you if you're close to your screen.
Hello, I caught the tail end of that, and I'm assuming you were talking to me.
Yeah, I was talking to you, Lisa, just saying maybe it would be time for you to just make a quick blurb about the upcoming book club and, you know, your availability and all those other kind of things that you usually share with class members. There are a couple potentially new people here who are maybe a little shy or whatever.
Absolutely. I'm losing my voice just a tiny bit, but on Thursday we have our last book club of the year, and it's crazy that it's been a year since we started this. We are going to be finishing the second half of the Blue Zones book, the most recent one that came out in August, I believe, and the one that the Netflix documentary is based off of. So you're welcome to join. You can email me if you want to be added to the book club list, and it's okay if you haven't done the reading. I'm also available for one-on-one health coaching. So I also put a link in the chat for that, and you can just schedule a time to chat whenever works for you. That's it. It's nice to see a lot of new faces.
So, in terms of health coaching, you've had quite a bit of experience doing this, so your rates must be pretty steep, for those who are concerned about that.
Yes, through the roof. It's totally free and you can sign up as many times as you want. I recommend signing up sooner than later because starting January, I'll be back on rotations and I'll be a little bit busier. So December, or that link has all of my availability on there, a lot in December.
So now is a good time, to kind of get yourself buffed up before the holidays.
Yeah, it's a Cyber Monday special.
Very good. Well, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you.
We're grateful for all you do. Anybody else with some question or concern that you might have? Any kind of issue that's burning away? Confusion? Ken? Unmute yourself first. There you go.
I'm just discovering that cornstarch is pretty good. I didn't like it at first when I used it on the tofu because, well, I used too much. So now I use a lot less and it's a lot better. Now, cornstarch, I'm really glad to hear that Emmy uses it in her stews because I make stew every day. Every night I put beans in a jar and water. And then the next, well, no, I always have beans in a jar on the counter. And then every morning I make a stew, and I'm looking forward to using the cornstarch now to see if I can make a gravy out of it. There's an interesting thing about cornstarch. When corn kernels, after they dry, they're full of corn sugar. The endosperm is mainly sugar. And it's interesting how when you add water to that, it turns into starch. And it has really, it has very little fat and it has very little carbohydrates. And I can't find any facts on how much sugar it has, but it's just amazing. Starch and sugar are the same thing, but cornstarch has been changed naturally to something with way less carbohydrates than before it got wet. That might be a little mixed up, but it is an interesting thing that sugar and starch are the same thing, but different. Are you researching this right now?
Yeah, I am. I was looking over the issue of GMO with the corn. So if you're not buying organic cornstarch, it may be genetically modified and you may have an issue with that.
Well, that's the issue with soy. It's really hard to get soy that wasn't growing from Roundup Ready seeds.
Well, there are the labels that I've seen regularly when we buy our soy products. They all say non-GMO or they are identified.
I do the same thing. I just hope they're honest.
Yeah, most of the GMO soy and corn that's grown is fed to livestock, so it's really easy to find it.
Well,
non-GMO for corn and soy for our consumption.
I agree, and I buy that stuff too, the GMO, non-GMO, but I'm talking about the fact that sugar and starch are the same thing has nothing to do with GMOs. It's just the way it is. But it's just interesting how cornstarch has so little carbohydrates and fat and almost no sugar. It's just something people might want to look at. It's just something that interests me.
Well, cornstarch is basically, there is a lot of sugar when it gets broken down, but it's combined when you eat this with the fiber that comes naturally with it, it slows the absorption of the sugar down. If you're eating free sugar, that gets absorbed very rapidly and causes rises in your insulin level, which are greater than normal. So yeah, a fiber is also sugar, but it is linked together in a way that you don't have the enzymes to digest it. So it gets digested by the bacteria in your microbiome. So if you listen to Dr. McDougall, you'll find that starches are really our friend. And it's been our food throughout the world for a long time. Barley and wheat, corn, potatoes, beans, lots of starch in those, and very healthy. It kind of satisfies your hunger. And anyway, just a thought. Dottie.
Yeah, just a couple of all over the place comments. The Native American place that you went to get food, you know, a lot of tribal communities don't have a lot of access to fruit and vegetables. And so and a lot of the meat that they do, it is very traditional. So I mean, eventually, hopefully, as more and more information gets out, there'll be some changes. But at the same time, you know, people are really sensitive, I think, to changes that people from outside try to bring in or suggest. So hopefully you weren't treated too roughly about that. But I think there's just such a history of not being able to do things that they want. So I just wanted to comment about that. And then I wanted to say the book club has been fabulous and I really enjoy it. And I'm really looking forward to Thursday night when we talk about blue zones. And I wanted to ask Lisa if maybe we can pick our book that we're going to start with in January, because maybe some people would like to ask their families if they do gift giving for the next book, whatever it's going to be. And speaking of that book, one of the books that I did order for myself, I want to start reading, is Fiber Fueled. And I recently had a colonoscopy preventative to check, and Dr. Nathan Holman did it. And I don't know if you know him, but he's a plant-based doctor. I had a fabulous conversation with him right before my colonoscopy. And I mentioned your name, Scott, to him, and I'm hoping that you guys and Dr. Rossi had one of your students with him that I gave permission to observe my colonoscopy too. But he also knows the author of Fiber Fueled. And so it might be a good way for us to just kind of be able to maybe even get the author sometime online. I don't know how well he knows him, if they went to school together or what. But anyway, I thought that was pretty interesting.
What's his first name?
His first name is Nathan, and his last name is
Nathan.
Holman, Holman. And
Yeah, I'll have to reach out to him and see if we can
Yeah.
get him to join Eugene Plant-Based Providers.
yeah,
Yeah.
he was just a delight. I mean, colonoscopies are no fun, but he was really great bedside manner. And we had a really good talk about, just ever so briefly, about plant-based. And I'm still struggling and working on stuff, but it was very encouraging to meet another provider. So I wanted to make sure, Scott, that you knew about him. And
Is that Eugene Gastroenterology Consultants over
yes,
at
it
Peace
is.
Health?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'll reach out.
Yeah. Excellent provider for sure.
Great.
That's great to know.
For that comment, Dottie, And that's a great idea for the book club. I will send out a survey like usual to see what people are interested in. Last October when we did the last survey, Fiber Field was second place. So I think that would be a good one to start the year off on.
Alrighty.
It's probably a good New Year one too, after Christmas and all the cookies, to add a bit more fiber anyway. The timing could be right.
Thank you, Charlie. Good evening. As usual, I was late today, and you may have already talked about this, but what is the best way to incorporate starch in our diet? Is it simply to use whole corn and cook it, or cornmeal, or how?
Food, the healthiest is the foods as they're grown in nature. So corn itself would be the healthiest. Minimally processed corn. I think you could consider cornmeal probably as minimally processed, but again, healthiest choice, corn itself, just like it's grown on the plant. Potatoes are an excellent source of starch. Rice, excellent source. Beans. There are so many good starch foods. Barley, I guess oatmeal, most whole grains and legumes have a really large amount of starch in them.
So the Native Americans always mixed corn and beans together as a rule.
They did corn, beans, and there was another what?
Squash.
Yeah, another starch.
Starchy vegetable. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it is Native American culture to eat starchy foods. The Aztecs and the Incas, they were potatoes and corn, and you know, so it's not outside the realm of their cultural experience of.
Sure, but I was told that the reason they mixed these three were to get a whole range of amino acids and complete meal, complete nutrition. Is that true?
I think it was more that's the way they grew well. Like you have the corn, which grows up, and then the bean wraps itself around the corn,
right?
And the squash covers the ground.
Sure, but yeah, but even the native dish succotash, it had like corn and beans and maybe sometimes squash or potatoes.
Yeah, so you're going to get enough amino acids if you're eating a variety of various kinds of plants, any kind of plants.
Okay.
And so you really don't have to worry about that. We worried about that back in the 70s, I think, when the book came out, that you had to combine beans and rice, or you didn't get a complete protein. But that has been busted, and the author who wrote that has rescinded her claim about that. Scott, do you have anything that you want to add?
No, that sums it up. I mean, they didn't know it thousands of years ago. And that's also not only Native American, but Latin American cultures too. It's the three sisters, las tres hermanas de comida, is beans, corn, and squash. So that's well known. And they were eating those foods together for the reasons you mentioned, Charlie, long before they knew there was such a thing as protein or that kind of stuff. It's just sustenance, so they didn't starve.
Right, and then one question: how much salt do you recommend in your cooking? Is it like 1/4 spoon or 1/8 spoon or 1 whole spoon of salt?
So for the whole day, 2/3 of a teaspoon of salt in all your foods is probably a good guideline. I think that's about 1,500 milligrams of salt. in
Okay,
your
so that's
diet.
in addition to
2/3.
what's in the vegetables and,
Not in addition, in total, for
okay.
everything, for the whole day. So
Right,
you
right,
look,
right. But I'm saying like celery, for example, has already some salt in it
yeah,
naturally.
you're right. As long as you're not adding salt, like if there is some sodium that happens to be found in tomatoes or in some of the things, you don't add that. But if you're buying a canned item, which has a lot of salt,
Right.
then you need to add up the amount of sodium in the proportion that you're eating and add up all the portions for the day. It should total about 1,500 milligrams. Some people say up to 2,000. This depends on the source you're looking at. And you can get to that pretty quickly.
Sure. Okay. Okay. Well, another slightly political question that I have is there any concerted effort to tell the manufacturers of American processed foods to lower the salt content, sugar content, and oil content?
We're leaving that political issue to the younger generation. Lisa Chick is going to deal with that as she's going through her training and interacting with other people. We'll back her up, but she's going to be on the forefront of talking to the committees. I'm volunteering her. I'm just playing with you a little bit, Lisa.
Sounds
Keep
like a
losing her
challenge.
voice. Yeah, there are a lot, there are a lot of more low sodium, no salt added, no sugar added. There are some products that are marketing that way, but problem is if we're reading a label, it's probably not something we want to be eating in the first place. That's kind of the trick question there, because the whole plant foods don't have labels.
Yeah, the reason I asked is a couple of days ago I got some organic coconut creamer for tea or coffee, and it is loaded with sugar. I cannot even put 1 spoon of it and find it.
Yeah.
But they claim it's only 4 grams of sugar per serving.
But Arun, you know what we would say about a creamer, don't you? It doesn't grow on a plant. It's not a natural product, right?
Right. But I said, okay, coconut creamer,
It is highly refined, are really not going to promote your best health, no matter how good it tastes.
Right. Well, okay, all right. I will give you a hint. At the end of everything, it said, this product contains coconut.
The other trick is they usually have the serving size is usually really small, like a teaspoon or something, but most people would put in 2 or 3 tablespoons or something in their coffee, and then that would add up to a lot more sugar.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That was fun. Nancy.
Yeah, I am reading this book right now, and I'm not done with it. I'm not even half done, but it's very, very interesting, and it's kind of peripheral to nutrition, but it's called Why We Sleep. Has anybody come across that book yet?
Yeah, I've read that book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's saying that basically the lack of sleep is a cause of a lot of our diseases of civilization, so to speak, and partly because when we don't get enough sleep, we tend to eat crap. So it's just a really interesting kind of, in addition to diet, maybe we need to get some more sleep, more good sleep. And so anyway, I just
yeah, right here.
listening to it right now. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
What
It's
did
a
you
good
think
book.
of
Yeah.
it?
Yeah, really good. Just a lot of the sleep science, and yeah, sleep is one of the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine we talk about in these classes. And yeah, you're totally right. If you're stressed and you're not sleeping well, and then we're kind of thinking not with our frontal lobe, where we're have reasoning and knowledge and apply all those things. We're just kind of, we're on raw emotion, and we tend to reach for higher calorie dense foods, less healthy foods when we're stressed and not getting, or fatigued from not getting enough sleep. So yeah, it's vital to get enough sleep and good quality sleep.
There's so much involved in this whole thing of being healthy. You know, it's not just one thing. Well, of course, what is it? Oh gosh, Ornish, Dean Ornish. You know, he has his
Right.
pillars and so on. I don't know, does he have sleep in it?
Dean Ornish
Just-
doesn't have sleep. He's food, exercise, meditation, yoga, and love more and hate less.
Yeah.
Stress
Oh
less,
gosh, we
love
need to
more.
get that word out, don't we?
Yeah.
So anyway, I just you know, it was it's really fascinating book.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. It is one of the pillars, like Scott says, of lifestyle medicine. I kind of included under how we deal with stress in our life. There's stress, sleep, our social contacts. Lifestyle medicine likes to split them out, but I generally tend to find that people who are having trouble sleeping usually are under various stresses. They have a workload that's too much in their life, or they're dealing with issues that they haven't forgiven people about. They're, angry or whatever it might be. And it's usually related to some sort of stress in their life. And if that's dealt with, oftentimes the sleep will improve. That may not be true for everybody, but over the last 47 years that I've been interacting with people, I find that to be, stress being one of the underlying causes of poor sleep. Joan.
I just wanted to say, based on what she said, that I think that if you're not getting enough sleep, you're not loving more and you're hating more, though. So
Yeah.
it kind of fits in with what you're saying about stress. But I think
Yes.
it is an oversight that he didn't acknowledge. That is one of the things, because it definitely is.
Yeah, so he's one of the early pioneers who's trying to convince the public. And at that time, they didn't have near the discussion about sleep and those issues. And yet he's been a pioneer in reversing heart disease, how that can be done, and how important diet is, and how important exercise is, and how important it is to deal with the stress in your life. He did cover a lot of things. So I guess maybe it could be an oversight, but maybe it was just at the time that was the level of information available. And the lifestyle medicine then came along and has expanded upon that. And so it's just part of the progression of how we're learning more. Who knows what AI will do to all of this? Hopefully it doesn't put us into a robot box of some sort. I don't know. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think AI probably might be good in some things. But again, it's like everything else. I guess there's potential for abuse, which is, we're always going to look for dangers in the life. Joan, and then a run.
Can you explain lifestyle medicine? Is that a certification? And would a patient be able to find out if a physician is a lifestyle physician?
This is right up Scott's alley.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's through the American College of Lifestyle Medicine, ACLM. And yes, you can become board certified in lifestyle medicine. You have to have a professional degree. Either you could be, bachelor's or master's level, or PhD or MD, DO. There's different levels, but you can go on the Eugene Plant-Based Provider website. There's a link to the ACLM website on there. You can check it all out there. And then they also have a provider list. And so and I'm on there, you can type in your zip code and find a lifestyle medicine certified provider in there. There's also the Plantrition Project. The Plantrition holds a conference just like the ACLM holds a conference. The ACLM conference is where Lisa and I just were last month. and in Denver, and then the Plantrition Project, they have annual conference as well, and they have Plantrition providers search engine too on their website, and you can do a zip code search there, and I'm on that one as well. It's actually, even the link to it is on the website. So if you click on my link on the class website, you'll see my profile through Plantrition there. So in the About Us, so if you click on my name in the About Us, it says additional bio there, plant-based directory of healthcare providers, and you'll see my profile there. But you could use that link then and search for other ones, but there's really not really anyone else around Eugene that are in there. Thomas Bosch is the dietitian, but yeah, that's how you can learn about that stuff is there.
Arun.
Thank you. I wanted to ask you both about what is the difference between the class that you're going to offer at the Y starting in January versus this one. Is it going to be similar to this, or well, go ahead and tell me what you want to tell about the Y class.
Yeah, so it's going to be similar. The space kind of is restricted to about 50 people. And so in the classroom, so if we have 100 people, that means we would need to do two classes, one back to back, like one from 2 to 3, one from 3 to 4. If we have only 50 people sign up, we have a 2-hour slot from about 2 to 4 is what the plan is right now. And so we plan on using that to the best of our ability. So the time we've been spending in these classes is about an hour and a half, which allows for a lot of interaction and discussion. And so we're going to have to either change how we, our lung capacity and stop talking so much to allow for a lot of questions like we do here, or we're going to have to, say, we're going to give you didactic material, teach you about some things, and then we want you to come to the Zoom classes if you want to catch up on some additional stuff or have additional classes. We're not sure how that's going to actually work, but I think that an hour's worth of class time should be enough to really give people a good orientation. And if they have further questions, they have resources that they can talk with people. And I'm hoping that other medical students besides Lisa, several of them have expressed an interest of also doing coaching. And so we're in the process of kind of grooming them. They're going through the website and learning, doing this themselves and learning. Once they do it themselves, they're going to need to be coached initially, should they interact with people. So that's how one vision might be. Could it be different? Yeah. So could you get everything in a 1-hour class as you could in a 1.5-hour class? Perhaps not, but could you get enough? For some people, yeah, you probably could. And if you want to supplement, you supplement from the website.
And some of the other things we want to do are, with our other Eugene plant-based provider members, we have, a physical therapist that wants to, do some exercise demonstration and take people through some exercises. And then maybe, they also have yoga classes there. They have the walking track there. We have a teaching, like a little bit of a kitchen setup space there. We'll likely do some cooking demonstrations. People can, try some food, and maybe we'll occasionally bring some food. And so we have kind of more diversity, kind of more things that we can kind of do in person that we couldn't do with these Zoom classes. So that's kind of the longer term. And some family focused topics. I know Eric, who's a pediatrician here, he wants to be involved as well, and also we have a pediatric cardiologist and another cardiologist in our group that wants to be involved in teaching some classes too. So we kind of have more diversity, more different providers and perspectives and focuses on some topics that might, should be different than just what we have been doing the past few years here in these classes.
So you're recommending this class to us?
If you want to, yeah, but it's definitely going to be going out to the general population in the Gene Springfield area, because Peace Health is going to advertise it and the YMCA is going to advertise it. So there'll be a lot, we're expecting a lot of people to be coming in that have never been to any of these Zoom classes, but anyone that's here in these Zoom classes is certainly welcome to sign up as well. And we have on the homepage of the class website, there is a sign up. So you need to email Charlie or I to get put on the list, because we're keeping track of how many people are signing up. So there's a link to the class flyer on the homepage of the class website. You'll see it there and you can click on it, and there's a flyer there that has the information for the YMCA. And that starts in February.
Thank you.
Our typical Zoom class sizes have been about 50 people to start. But when we were doing in person, I think Scott had down here, what was it, 70 or?
70, yeah, 70 was as many as I could get in the church there. And then there was a few times where I had to have 2 classes. I had to do 2 classes. I did it every other week, but I had to do 2 nights in a row. I did like a Wednesday, Thursday night, and I had 70 in each of the classes there for a while. So like 140 total.
And Roseburg, which has a population of 25,000 students or people, has about 100 people sign up for each of their classes. They do about 3 or 4 a year. And our community is what, 4 times the size, maybe larger. So we expect there to be quite a number of people. We'll see. We're excited. Little nervous about the room space. Any other questions about this? Or anything else?
I got a request in the chat to share what books we've read this year. So I'm just going to list them off really quick. That's
Good.
okay.
It is.
We started off with the Mayo Clinic Guide to Stress-Free Living, and then Salt, Sugar, Fat, The Craving Mind, The Body Keeps the Score, How Not to Die, and now we're on the Blue Zones. So we've kind of switched it up. You don't do one book every month. It's usually one book every 2 months or sometimes 3 months. And we've switched it up from things that are more lifestyle medicine based, but also some policy, health policy, and mental health. And then of course, How Not to Die. And then the Blue Zones is just such a fun book. Oh, you can't see it really well, but there's just so many pictures in here. It's like the best adult picture book with lots of happy people inside. So it's a good one. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for doing that, Lisa. A lot of good comments from people. Nancy.
Yes, I have a question. Some people will tell me about, their aches and pains, or especially relatives and whatever, but they have no desire to change their diet. And I'm just like, hey, if the diet can help, why not do it? Why not try it? And yet it's just like, no way. I'm gonna eat my meat. I'm gonna eat my fat. You need fat in your diet, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm just really curious, for people that have health problems, why they don't want to change. Have you come across that type of thing? I'm sure you have.
Oh, every week.
Oh.
Yeah, there's people want to be told good things about their bad habits. They don't want to be told bad things about their habits. They don't want to change. They they want a pill or they want a surgery that will do a quick fix, and they want to keep doing what they're used to doing. And it's difficult sometimes to get people to understand that the choices they make are going to really determine their health. So we spend a lot of time being as gentle as we can, as understanding as we can about people's need and desire not to want to change. So I encourage people to go on a journey. Like, have you ever been on a trip that you really enjoyed doing something different? And I tell them, there's a journey that actually can lead to, at the end of this journey, you find health. Are you interested in doing that? And if you are, it's going to take some planning, it's going to take some energy, but it's going to be worth it. And if you're interested in doing that, I'll be happy to be the travel guide for you. I've been talking to patients like that on a weekly basis. Some people are afraid and scared enough that they want to do something different. They know they need to do something different, but there are some who dig their heels in and against all reason do not want to change what they are doing. And so it's up to us, the older, the medium age, and the younger ones who are all in this classroom here together. That's to, as gently as we can, without trying to force people, but to really keep encouraging them to consider doing something different. And that may be as simple as telling them we're planting a seed, and that may grow, and it's up to you whether you choose to water it or not. And give it time. Some people will take several years before they come around. They see someone who gets sick, they've been resistant to do anything for months and years, and then all of a sudden they say, it's time for me to do something different, like quit smoking or stop drinking alcohol or change what I eat. So I have hope for everybody, even if initially they say, no way am I going to do this. I'm done.
Yeah, just
Yeah,
give
'cause-
everybody the same opportunity. I just, without judgment, lead by example, give information, extend the olive branch, but then, not put any more pressure on them. Because I feel like I've had hundreds of patients I've been, I've shared this with over the last 11 years. And sometimes I'll have somebody that seems like, some old curmudgeon-y old guy set in his ways. Oh, there's no way this guy is going to change. And then there'll be somebody that is already mostly vegetarian, or they have a vegan family member or something like that. Oh, this person that shouldn't have too many obstacles, and they really struggle. And then the person that I thought, oh, there's no way this guy is going to change, but I give him a little bit of information and he runs with it and shocks me, and it's amazing. So having those examples over the years, I just give everyone this equal opportunity, without judgment. Just, oh, here's some information. You can improve your health just by making some simple changes, and I'm here as a resource if you need any help. And so yeah, just try to just kind of give everyone the same opportunity. Everyone deserves the right to at least know about it, even if they don't make the changes. It's at least everyone deserves to know that there's this is an option out there.
Yeah, well, I have a brother who's now on dialysis, and I called him. Well, his birthday was fairly recently, and I called him, and I didn't become whole foods plant-based until probably 2019. But I asked him, what was there any point along the way where you would have made some changes so you didn't have to go on dialysis? And he had gout really bad for a while, and he's had heart bypass surgery, and it's just like, I don't know, I guess because I'm a very logical person for the most part, not totally, I just have a hard time understanding why there's nothing that would have changed his mind so he didn't have to go on dialysis. I don't know. I don't know.
Problem is, if we try to leave it up to the medical profession to share this information, that's not happening. And fortunately, that's why we're trying to change that with the younger generation and the new physicians that are being trained, so they understand that this is an option. There's the power of lifestyle medicine is there. But if people don't think that, because no one's really reinforcing it, they don't think that changing what you eat and how you live is really going to make that much of a difference. Everyone thinks it's their genetics, and that's the reason. And because my parents and siblings had these same health problems, and so that's just my destiny. People don't realize that, the genes load the gun, but the lifestyle pulls the trigger. So we don't have to get sick. Get sick and have bypass surgery and go on dialysis. That's not natural. That's unnatural. The human condition, the natural human frame, is to be healthy and to sustain health until we pass. But people just think that's the consequence of getting old, and that's unnatural.
Run.
Hello again. I want to know if sometime in the future we will be focusing on sustainable or a healthy way to reduce our weight, because there is I guess, an epidemic of obesity in the country. So I'm hoping that you already are doing that, or that you will be doing something, like a focus on that topic.
Yeah, we have two classes on weight loss at the early beginning of the year. There, you can go back to the class archives, and there was two dedicated classes just for weight management.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, we focus on that almost every single class we do, because the bottom line is most all animals who are eating their natural environment, their natural diet, they're not overweight. If you look around in the world at all the other animals, it's the humans that have the problem with overweight, and it's related to the foods we're eating. And so if you stick to what our natural foods are as they're grown in nature, the fruits, the vegetables, the whole grains, the legumes, we would all be an ideal body weight if that's the foods we eat. But every time, every discussion we have is dealing with, well, people are eating the processed foods. They're eating the animal products that are so high in fat and have no fiber. So if we get back to eating what our natural food is, we solve the problem of overweight. But there are barriers for people to make those changes because they don't really believe, they don't have the education yet to understand the benefits of eating naturally, or what grows in nature, the whole plant foods. So that's every class we teach. If people listen and they choose to do something about it, they will return to their ideal body weight toward that area.
I see. Well, the reason I was asking is I thought perhaps the class that you're going to teach at the Y, there might be a number of folks who might be interested in that aspect of how to reduce their weight with healthy way. But I can understand that if you hit it hard, it might rub the wrong way, right? And that it could be a byproduct of doing these other things that you're doing, eating it right, less processed, and exercise and everything. It will all help, sure. But I'm just wondering how you're going to deal with that in a larger class.
So like Scott said, we do have sessions specifically addressing overweight or obesity.
Sure.
We'll have them online. We'll have them on the website. We'll have them in the class. There's going to be a class on obesity or overweight. And yet, if people are listening closely, it will be addressed at every single class, just about, as we
Right.
talk about how, like you said, how important exercise is, dealing with stress,
Mhm.
your mindset connected with it. Are you eating because of the stress in your life? Is that one of the techniques you use to reduce your stress? And is that the healthiest choice? So you have
Yeah.
a good point. And we not only have an epidemic, it's a worldwide problem. It's a pandemic of people who are overweight at this point in time. That's John McDougall talking.
Okay. Thank you.
Just listen to him. Okay, who else? This has been fun so far. We're down to just a few minutes, and I'm sure someone has a burning question of some sort. Yeah, ME. I knew must have been at least one other person.
Well, I just want to get back to what Nancy was talking about, you know, that people's inability to change. And on some level, all of us struggle as we get started in this process and we go. But I think that, you know, you can't persuade people, you can't convince people. I think it's steeped in tradition, and the word lifestyle doesn't get quite the power that it is. And I think the third word is addiction. So, you know, recently I was in a conversation, and I've been doing this a long time, and, you know, people eat two things. They either think I'm really weird the way I eat and I'm crazy because I have to have fat, I have to eat fat, or where do I get my protein if I don't eat meat, you know, that kind of stuff. But recently I had a conversation with a woman that I'm 71. She's 3 years younger than me, and I've known her since she was 10 years old. And so she knows me quite well. And we were visiting on the East Coast recently. And she always asks me about food and nutrition. You know, she's the one who opens the conversation. And during this visit, I noticed that both she and her husband are suffering with something. You can see that they have pain and aches in every movement they make. And so she was asking me questions, I was answering. And she finally said to me, well, I'd like to know a little bit, but I'd probably, because I offered to send her the Plantarian booklet, you know, I always try and connect people to this class, and I'm always blown away that they don't. You have 3 doctors sitting in front of me for free, and they won't connect with this class. Just boggles my mind. But anyway, so I finally said to her, she said to me, she said, well, I probably wouldn't get into it. She said, I'd like to know some things, some more, but I'd probably not get into it like you are. Like, meaning that she wouldn't get into the food process, you know, as deeply as I am. And I was so dumbfounded by it that for the first time, I didn't respond in my typical way. What I said back to her was, well, why would you not? I mean, if, you know, her husband's suffering with neuropathy from his knees down, he can't feel his feet, and he's driving. And, you know, it was only a year, 18 months ago when I couldn't feel a good part of the bottom of my feet, and that's totally gone now. You know, I can feel everything. Sometimes I wish not, but my response, what my response and why I'm telling you this is that it left her speechless, which was the first time I'd experienced that, because everybody's got to come back. Well, you have to do this, and you should do that, and you know, blah, 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 and take these supplements and all that stuff. And when I said, well, why would you not get more involved? You know, she was speechless. So I just left it there, and I'm hoping that that'll trigger yet another conversation with us. But I think there are really big things that prevent people from giving up the things that are most comfortable to them.
Yeah, it's we kind of run into that regularly, and it doesn't make logical sense why you wouldn't.
Charlie, who's the doc who writes about the Pleasure Center? Is it Lysel?
Oh, Doug, yeah, The Pleasure Trap is a book, and it's Doug Lyle and Alan Goldhammer. That book is on our class website under books.
Because that's a great book to talk about why people don't make these kinds of changes, I thought.
Yes.
Thanks for
Good
letting me.
point. Nancy,
Yeah, well, one thing I have been doing lately is instead of saying that I'm on a whole foods plant-based diet, I tell people that I'm eating an anti-inflammatory diet, which is basically a whole foods plant-based diet. But
yes,
I mean, like at one point, oh, Bob, probably 4 or 5 years ago, my neck was so stiff that I could not look over my shoulder to see see my blind spot on my left. And I was going, oh my gosh, am I going to have to quit driving because I can't, my neck, I can't see that area. And that was before I read the whole food plant-based or the How Not to Die. But so the thing is I found that, okay, so I went on a vacation, and when you're on vacation, you don't necessarily know what's in the food. And unfortunately, I can't pass having a maracuja ice cream. So I had a few of those. Not good, but you don't get it here in the US. So, but anyway, when I came back, I noticed it was gone about a month, and I noticed my neck was starting to get sore again. And now that I've been home for, I've been home a month, yeah, month and a half. My neck isn't sore anymore. So, I just have to go on that anti-inflammatory diet. And that's kind of, I really think I would be, who knows, have knee replacements and be obese and a whole bunch of other things if, I hadn't changed my diet, because that runs in my family, heart disease, bunch of things. I think I would be pretty sick if I hadn't changed my lifestyle. So anyway.
well, thanks for sharing that. Emmy.
Just one last thought. People think that we deprive ourselves of things all the time. And what I say to them is, no matter what kind of food we're talking about, if we're talking about carrot cake or ice cream or whatever, and I say, I can have any food I want. I can make a choice and eat anything I want. I just have to realize that carrot cake comes with diabetes. So I say, yeah, I can have that carrot cake. There's no reason I can't have that carrot cake. I just have to be cognizant that it comes with diabetes, and it always shuts people up.
That's great. I like it.
Thanks, you guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everyone.
Mary, or Marcia.
I have been saying what Emmy just said about I can choose it's not about what I can't have, it's about what I choose to do. I've been saying that at least 2 or 3 times lately.
Good for you.
It's great.
That's great.
It's a good way to think about it.
And how you think about it can make a difference as to whether you keep doing this or whether you choose not to do it. If you think about this as you're having to give up, it's not going to be nearly as easy to transition and to stay transitioned. If you think about this as I have a goal to reach, I have a why I want to do this, I am going to make choices that are going to help me to get there. That is going to put you in a much different mindset than, geez, I've got to give up this, that, and the other thing because that's what someone told me to do.
Yeah. Plus, the other day I asked somebody, would you tell somebody, like I heard you say it, oh, eat a little bit, it's not going to hurt you. And I was using that example. Would you tell an alcoholic that? And they said no, of course. And that little bit hurt you. And so I've said that once too. They're like somewhere. So, but yeah, it's our choice of what we want.
And Unmute yourself first.
Myself, I am on a cholesterol-free diet, and that does get some people's attention. But I don't engage with people that tell me things like, well, you have to eat meat because there's something in the ruminant system that makes protein better when it's gone through the cow. Well, someone whose livelihood was livestock production for 50 years, I think ruminants are incredible because they can turn cellulose into carbohydrates, but that's it. They can't make protein better. Anyway, I just wanted to say that, and the cholesterol diet thing is a good way to get people to start asking you a question. I want to ask Emmy something. I make about 4 cups of bean vegetable soup a day. How much starch would you put in it? Just a tablespoon or more?
I use about a tablespoon, maybe a little less than a tablespoon for 6 quarts of soup.
6 quarts.
6 quarts.
I
So
make-
that's a stock pot.
I make 4. Yeah, I make my stew in a rice cooker, and it's amazing. It's done in 30 minutes.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you. I'll do a little less than a tablespoon for a quart of soup.
Well, 6 quarts of soup.
Oh, well, that's hardly any.
Yeah.
It doesn't take a lot. I mean,
use
if
a
you
half a-
put too much, it'll be turned into cement.
Okay, I'll start with a teaspoon and see what happens.
Yes. And what I tell people about meat and protein is that the cow is only the middleman. The cow gets its protein from the grass, and then so we're getting it secondhand if we do it through meat.
Exactly.
Fascinating. Thanks, you guys.
Yeah, thank you too.
Yeah, thank you. Well, any other questions or anything? I hope you can come to the book club Thursday. Next week, we'll talk about lifestyle medicine pioneers, talking about kind of the people that came, the people that Charlie and I stand on the shoulders of, and then some of the people, you'll see some information about the shoulders that our mentors stand on the shoulders of. So it's going way back. So a good history lesson next week. So hope you can attend that.
Okay, so any last question? We good?
Well, I got a question.
Okay, Ken.
You've talked once or twice in the last 2.5 years about the gurus of plant-based nutrition have a cruise in the Caribbean.
Yes.
You can take classes on cooking and whatnot and eat professionally cooked plant-based food. So how can I find some information on that cruise?
Someone in class brought it up. I did see an advertisement on it a while back, but I think it was earlier in the spring this year. But so there'll probably be another one. I think this next coming spring, I think it is. But yeah, it's a cruise with like Dr. Greger and a bunch of I think T. Colin Campbell and Esselstyn and a bunch of the people that go. But yeah, it would kind of probably be pretty spendy, I guess. So.
No,
I think it's the first week in March for 2024.
Yes,
That particular
holistic holiday.
That's right. Yeah.
Got any prices there, Eric?
No, I don't.
Well, most cruises these days are super value, but that one may not be.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm on their website right now, but let's see.
Holistic holiday.
What holiday? Holistic?
HOLISTIC.
Holistic.
Holistic Holiday at Sea. It's March 2nd through March 9th.
Think we can get insurance companies to pay for our passage? We can call it prevention.
Yeah, good thought. Well, we look forward to seeing you all again next week, and thank you all for the questions, and hope you have a really good week. And
Go Ducks. I have to say, I have to throw that in there. Pac-12 championship game on Friday. I was at the Civil War games. That was pretty fun.
Yeah, so exciting times for Eugene.
I found out the prices of the Holistic Holiday.
What is it?
For inside cabin, so not seeing the ocean, it's $16.89.
That's
$1,689?
Yeah, it's not cheap.
1,600
Yeah.
Correct. Yeah.
or 16,000?
1,600.
Wow.
But then you have airfare on top of that.
Wow. That
So
seems cheap.
probably what, 3,500, 4,000 by the time you get done person.
Yeah.
Well, there's a lot of outdoor sports. When you go with the guide, that's what it costs.
That's all your food too. So that's, you know.
Well, a 2-week mountain climb with the guide is going to be $5,000, and that's with other clients. So I think a cruise is a really good value.
Yeah, it seems like it.
Well, I was invited to go with a couple of friends on one, and I've been just thinking, you know, if I want to go on a cruise, I want to improve my life, and this cruise sounds like it might.
Very good thought, Ken. We're going to leave it at that, and we're going to see you next week, maybe.
Good night.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Thank you, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Right.